I have a feeling in my gut, and I don't like it. And it's not just a little extra flab that comes as you get a little older. The feeling in the gut, and it's the first time I've really quite felt this way. I think Judge is going. I think Judge is leaving.
Every time he gets asked about it, he plays the complete middle. There is no indication that he wants to be a Yankee. He said this before, obviously, and I think he wants to be a Yankee, but whenever he's asked about it, he just throws out the simple, middle of the road, we couldn't get this worked out before the season, I'm now a free agent. And I know that doesn't make you feel worse or better, it just kind of makes you feel lost.
Well, I think Yankee fans expect, be given the history and the aura and all the
I hear you,
a little more gravitating a little bit more
different.
to the Yankee side.
It's so different now.
Yeah,
I think it's changed so much in the last 20 years on how players feel about being stationary, about how they feel about spending their whole career with one team, and how they feel loyalty.
Is it the player or is it the team that really no longer allows that to happen?
I think it's a little bit of both.
I think it's more the team these days.
Yeah, it is a little bit of the team, but the team has always been that way. Because think about it. If a team has to make a business decision, it's just like, this financially is not going to work for us. I know that whoever, say in Minnesota, he's a great, iconic player, but dude, we can't afford him. Sorry, you got to go. So I think teams have always had that. The Yankees have been an exclusion to that because obviously they could spend whatever they wanted to. But in this new era of Yankee baseball, from ownership, through the front office, I think the business has made it so that there really isn't a loyalty. If there should be one, it should be Aaron Judge. But I don't think it's set in stone. But I also, and this was my point, is that I think that the athlete doesn't have that same loyalty anymore. That athlete doesn't feel like, well, this team drafted me, this team developed me, that I need to be here for my whole career to reward them. I'm going to take that proverbial hometown discount. That's just never happening anymore.
Oh, I agree with that. Aaron Judge is out of his mind if he doesn't hit free agency. He owes it to himself to hit free agency. And listen, people don't want to hear it. He owes it to baseball. I mean, he is the next guy up. And the players' union and the pressure, he is absolutely going. Well, I shouldn't say absolutely, but
by the way, that's a great point.
Free agency.
That point you're making is absolutely valid.
Quarterbacks do it. You got to chase every penny, reset the market. We have to understand that. What I find interesting though, and there's a little bit of a mixed report coming out here. So some reports have Cashman and Boone will be back. Okay, there's another report that says Hal Steinbrenner, while he's leaning toward bringing back Cashman and Boone, much to the chagrin of many, or some. Maybe certainly, I think it's time for a change. You guys know where we stand. But also within that report is that he's weighing options. Now, here's what worries you from the Yankees' point of view. Everything that I've read, everything that I've heard, the Giants seem to have this pretty good plan. The Giants have already said, we will not, without tampering, we will not get outbid. We have other mechanisms in place to help support, star players when we bring them in. They're obviously talking about Aaron Judge, right? And then we hear yesterday, the Dodgers have a plan as well, which would include moving Mookie Betts to second base. And my question is this: what is the Yankees' plan? Because the Yankees, by the end of this week, the Yankees better have their plan in order. I mean, there are too many things that they need to juggle, starting with a voice and a face of the Yankees in these negotiations. This is a huge off-season for the Yankees. They've got a lot of different things to do. They've got to decide, are they going to finally trade Torres? There's a lot of free agents. The young players, they've got to make real determinations. Are they as good as they think? Could they take one of those guys and trade them, or multiple players, for a young star that's already established in Major League Baseball? And I don't know who's going to lead the ship. Now, I'm on the record. I don't think it should be Brian Cashman. But if it is Brian Cashman, this thing's got to be resolved by the end of this week.
Yeah.
This can't bleed into next week,
Well,
Tiki.
if it there is still that exclusive negotiating period with Aaron Judge. So the Yankees still have a shot at making the first impression, and a big one, before the Giants, who have said they're not going to be outbid, go throw $400 million at Aaron Judge. And so we don't know that the Giants are going to do that, but let's assume that the Giants are going to do that. The Yankees better come hard and significantly above what they did in the preseason for Aaron Judge so that he doesn't even think about actually going into free agency. Now, the other side of this, and I don't know where Aaron Judge stands on being this beacon, this new beacon for what players should be, compensated for. But given what happened a couple of years ago during the pandemic, the level of distrust between player and league during the pandemic was worse than, it was as high as I've ever seen it.
That was pretty broken. I agree with that.
It was so broken.
Yep. Remember the prorated salaries? It was a mess.
Not only that,
they just lied to him.
But also Manfred
100%.
basically is letting it slip because he has no idea how to communicate effectively that, we were never going to play more than 60 games. Mm-hmm. But you spent 2 months negotiating.
Yeah, posturing.
Yeah. And so the players know that money is always going to influence ownership's decisions. And so if you're Aaron Judge and not only you're looking out for yourself, obviously he's got to go get paid because he's earned it, especially after the season that he had last year, the health and the home runs and everything else. He's earned it, but he's also looking out for the bigger picture, the up-and-coming stars, these other guys that are going to look to make $35 to $40 million a season if they earn it because of their play on the field. If he doesn't do this, there's no precedent set for that to happen. There's a precedent for the Mike Trouts of the world and the Mookie Bettses of the world, but for these guys who go through the system, meaning the arbitration system for 5-6 years and then finally get paid, there's no precedent for that. Because all these other guys got paid early. Trout got paid early. Harper got paid early. Tatis got paid early. All these guys get paid early. Aaron Judge is the one who's showing I can go through this, earn it at 30, because guys are playing much longer than they ever have, and go get paid. He almost has to do this, not just for himself, but for baseball players in general.
I'm with you. 877-337-6666. Tiki and Tierney here on the Fan inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Our friends at Town Fair remind you, you always get the guarantee lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. All right, listen, let's assume, and I think this is actually a leap of an assumption, but for the moment, let's assume that in his heart, he is predisposed at this moment to remain with the Yankees. Mm-hmm. Like, it is their game to lose. We all have to assume the Yankees are coming correct with the number. And if they don't, that's a completely different conversation, and it will be an ugly one. I assume the Yankees will come with the right number. Okay, once they do that, and the Giants will do the same thing, Dodgers will come correct, Stevie Cohen might have a seat at the table. If Aaron Judge goes into this window of exclusivity, even if he doesn't sign with the Yankees during that window, which I do not think he will, for the reasons that we just talked about, the responsibility to baseball, he's going to want to know at some point, what is the plan? What is the plan? And money's money, and you can dangle the captaincy, and those things, they matter, obviously. But if I'm Aaron Judge, I want to know, how are you putting me in a position to win a championship? Because trotting me out there with a broken down Josh Donaldson, a shortstop who can't catch suddenly, a second baseman who's nowhere near what they thought they'd be, a catching platoon situation where it's not good, a left field situation nobody knows what the hell it is, and half the starting staff that can leave and no closer, how am I going to win a championship? And this is what has to worry Yankee fans, which is why in my gut, I'm really starting to think he's going. What is the answer? What will the Yankees tell him when he asks that all-important question? What are you doing? Where is the roadmap to a championship? Is it Trey Turner? You can't just say, well, it's Volpe, Peraza, and Cabrera. Who is it?
Yeah, those guys are fun.
Who is it?
But are they championship? I don't know.
Who is it?
It's got to be somebody. And
is it Trey Turner? What? It wasn't Juan Soto with the deadline, so what is it?
But also, who is that? Who is making that decision? That's the one that matters most.
Well, it's going to be Hal Steinbrenner, obviously. Cashman's going to be or if it's Cashman, he's going to communicate that, and then the Levines of the trust and all the legal stuff with the agents. But in terms of mapping out a future, a 3, 4, 5 year legit, because you can't go beyond that. let's say, a 3-year window for the Yankees to really win a championship. What can they tell him that will incentivize him to stay? Now, I'm not saying that there's nothing, but do you have the complete faith that the Yankees will do whatever, and I don't mean the check, they're cutting the check, the other things that are required to keep him here? I know the Giants are getting ready to do that, and I know the Dodgers are getting ready to do that. I don't know if the Yankees will do that.
Yeah, and we don't know what the Yankees' plan is. I haven't seen anything about the GM other than Cashman being the guy. There's no suggestions. Oh, I'm hearing that.
Well, no, Andy Martino. Listen. I mean, everybody's sourced and they do what they do. I don't really know Andy, well at all. Certainly wouldn't, minimize somebody's work. I'm not in the business of doing that, unless I just think somebody's not good. I don't know Andy. I know he's on SNY and whatever. But he's got a report where, and I translate this somewhat loosely, but the important parts are correct. He said, basically, that there's a belief that the Yankees are going to roll it back with Cash and Boone, but there's a chance, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but there's a chance that there could be a shift or a change, whatever, based on, and now I insert this, because I think, for the first time in years, I think Cal Steinbrenner is starting to listen to the Yankee fan. And you don't have to listen too hard. Yankee fans are disenchanted, disgruntled, whatever I was saying. Yeah. Disenchanted, disgruntled. They lack conviction in the product. They lack belief that it will change because it's been the same thing for the last 4, 5, 6 years. Rinse, repeat. This century, they've got one championship. It was bought. They spent $250 million on an ace, a stud switch hitting first baseman, and a very good top of the rotation pitcher in A.J. Burnett. So that is how they won the World Series. Let's be very clear about that. All the other moves were not nearly good enough to win a championship. So I don't think Yankee fans to a man believe in Cashman. I don't think they've got great faith in Boone, whether that's fair or unfair. And I don't think they've got great faith in the fact that Hal Steinbrenner is about to really radically shift his business model. So you add all that up, why the hell would Aaron Judge stay? Unless he is just so enamored with the allure of the pinstripes. And we hope that he is.
Yeah, we hope. We can assume that he is.
But he didn't grow up here.
We can speak it into our minds.
He wanted to be Bonds.
Might not be in his mind.
Tiki wanted to be Bonds.
Yeah, I know.
And now you have a chance to go to the team that you grew up rooting for. You don't think he had Barry Bonds posters on his wall? I mean, I think it's, I'm starting to think, I always thought it was like 70-30 he stays. I'm starting to think it's about 35-65. He's gone. Or 35-65 he stays.
Yeah.
877-337-6666. Tiki and Tierney on the Fan. All right. We'll get your calls. Big week for the Jets and the Giants. We've got Carl Banks coming up at 11:40. We'll get to the football earlier than usual, but still some more stuff to unpack with the Yankees right here on a busy Wednesday on the Fan.